Welcome to the heritage of our fathers. Today we will be talking about a cultured story about a young man named Obas and his quest to become famous. In the heart of the ancient Benin Kingdom, where tradition breathed through the very air, lived a young man named Obas. Just into his 20s, he was a picture of youthful ambition. His strong frame draped in a simple white wrapper tied at his waist. On his wrist, he wore red coral beads, a common adornment, but his eyes were always drawn to the necks of the palace chiefs, where magnificent heavy strands of red beads rested, a symbol of immense honor, wisdom, and authority. In those days, a man as young as Obas could only dream of wearing such beads around his neck. It was a privilege reserved for the esteemed chiefs who advised the great Obas himself. Obas dreamt of that life. He longed to be one of the royal chiefs, to walk the palace halls not just as an admirer, but as a respected voice in the kingdom. His fascination with the palace was immense. He would often find reasons to wander near its grand walls just to soak in the atmosphere of power and history. He'd watch the chiefs in their elaborate attire, their every movement filled with purpose, and imagine himself among them. His counsel sought, his presence commanding respect. The red beads around their necks weren't just jewelry. They were the embodiment of a life he yearned for. One sun-drenched afternoon, Obas' usual visit to the palace took an unexpected turn. As he walked along a quiet sunlit corridor, his eyes caught something lying near a carved pillar. It was a small, heavy leather bag. He nudged it with his toe, and the distinct clatter of cowrie shells echoed softly. His heart began to pound. Peeking inside, he saw it was full to the brim with cowrie money, a significant sum that could change a young man's fortunes overnight. He glanced around quickly. The corridor was empty. A whirlwind of thoughts spun in his mind. This was a gift from the ancestors, surely a sign. He could use this money to start a trade, to build his own wealth, to finally get noticed. Without another thought, he scooped up the bag, tucked it securely into the fold of his wrapper, and hurried away from the palace, his steps much quicker than when he had arrived. A thrill of excitement mixed with a knot of anxiety tightened in his stomach. He told no one. He hid the bag of cowries in his home, checking on it from time to time, the cool shells a secret promise of a better future. The idea of returning it barely crossed his mind. This was his chance, a shortcut to the life he so desperately wanted. Why should he give it up? The palace was wealthy. Surely, a single bag of cowries would not be missed. He convinced himself it was a victimless act, a simple twist of fate in his favor. Meanwhile, back at the palace, a sense of panic was setting in for a visiting trader. He had traveled a long distance and had brought the bag of cowries to pay for a large shipment of goods. He remembered having it with him as he entered the palace to pay his respects to the Oba. Now, it was gone. He searched frantically, retracing his steps, his face growing paler with each passing moment. That bag represented his livelihood, the culmination of months of hard work. When he couldn't find it anywhere, his hope turned to despair. With a heavy heart and trembling hands, he knew he had no other choice but to report the loss to the highest authority in the land, the Oba. The Oba of Benin, a figure of immense power and divine connection, sat on his throne. He was a majestic sight, robed in a rich red wrapper, with cascade of precious coral beads adorning his neck, his wrist, and his waist, each strand telling a story of lineage and power. He listened patiently to the trader's distressed account. His expression was calm, but his eyes were sharp and discerning. Justice and order were the cornerstones of his kingdom, and a theft within the sacred walls of his own palace was an offense he could not ignore. He immediately sent for his guards. "Bring me every person who has set foot in the palace today," he commanded, his voice echoing through the throne room. Soon, the court was filled with people, chiefs, servants, visitors, and guards. They stood in silent rows, an air of tension hanging thick in the hall. The Oba addressed them all, his voice steady and powerful. "A bag of cowries has been lost within these walls. It belongs to this honest trader. I ask the one who found it to step forward now." A profound silence fell over the court. No one moved. No one spoke. The only sound was the gentle rustle of robes and the distant chirping of birds outside. Obas stood among the crowd, his body frozen. His heart felt like a drum beating against his ribs, loud and frantic. Every beat seemed to shout, thief, thief." His face grew hot, and a cold sweat trickled down his back. He tried to look calm to blend in with the others, but he felt as though the Obas' piercing gaze was fixed directly on him. The weight of the stolen cowries hidden safely in his home now felt like a mountain pressing down on his soul. In that suffocating silence, as his guilt gnawed at him, a memory surfaced in Osa's mind. It was the voice of his father, a wise and simple man who had passed away years ago. He could almost hear him speaking, his words as clear as day. "My son, remember this always, truth may shame you today, but it will crown you tomorrow." The words resonated deep within him, cutting through the fear and the greed. What was he doing? He was about to sacrifice his integrity, the very core of his character, for a bag of shells. He thought of the chiefs he so admired. They didn't earn their beads through deceit. They earned them through honor, service, and truth. A battle raged within him. One part of him screamed to stay quiet, to let the moment pass, to keep the money and the dream it promised. But his father's wisdom, the true inheritance he had been given, was stronger. He knew what he had to do. It was the hardest decision of his life. Trembling from head to toe, with his heart hammering in his chest, Osos took a single shaky step forward, then another. He walked out from the crowd and fell to his knees before the Oba's throne. The entire court gasped. "Great Oba," he began, his voice barely a whisper, thick with shame. "It was I. I found the bag of cowries." He didn't dare to look up, keeping his eyes fixed on the floor. "I took it. It is safe in my home. I intended to keep it for myself." He confessed everything, the shame washing over him in waves. He expected anger, punishment, perhaps even exile. The visiting trader, hearing the confession, let out a sob, not of anger, but of overwhelming relief. His livelihood was not lost after all. He wept openly, his gratitude immense. The Oba looked down at the trembling young man before him. He saw not a thief, but a boy wrestling with his conscience, a boy who had chosen the difficult path of honesty. He saw the shame, the regret, but most importantly, he saw the courage it took to confess in front of the entire court. The Oba's expression softened. He gestured for a royal attendant, who brought forth a single magnificent strand of red coral beads, the very kind Osas had dreamed of. The Oba descended from his throne, a rare honor. He walked to Osas and gestured for him to rise. The room was utterly silent. The Obie then took the beautiful coral beads and, with his own hands, placed them around Osas' neck. Osas looked up, his eyes wide with disbelief and filled with tears. He could feel the cool, heavy weight of the beads against his skin. It was the honor he had craved, given to him not for wealth or status, but for an act of pure integrity. The Oba's voice filled the hall once more, not with anger, but with profound wisdom. "Let everyone here bear witness," he declared. "A man's character is his true throne. Integrity is the throne that God builds before kings ever sit on it. This young man has shown that his soul is worthy of honor." He turned to Osas. "This bead is not a reward for finding money. It is a crown for choosing truth." From that day forward, Osas walked through the streets of Benin a changed man. He walked taller, his posture more confident, but his pride didn't come from the magnificent red bead that now rested on his chest, a symbol for all to see. His newfound stature came from something far deeper, something invisible. It came from the lightness in his heart, the knowledge that his soul was clean. He had learned the most valuable lesson of all, that the greatest honor is not worn around the neck, but carried within the heart. The truth had indeed shamed him for a moment, but as his father had promised, it had crowned him for a lifetime. Thank you so much for watching this story from the heart of ancient Benin Kingdom. With this, we have come to the end of today's story. If you were inspired by Osa's journey, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more tales of wisdom and courage. Share this video with someone who might need this message today. Until next time, stay true to yourself. God bless.